up, everybody? Brand new Celtics Talk Podcast, the final Celtics Talk Podcast of the summer. I think summer's ending, which is both terrifying and exciting because that means basketball season is right around the corner. I believe the autumnal equinox is on Monday, so that would mean basketball isn't far behind, and I think we're going to start to see a lot more basketball talk bubbling up as we get closer to a week after that. Monday the 29th is Media Day. Get to sit down with all members of the organization, but I think there'll be some fun even before then. For this one, we want to wrap up the summer. Back at the start of the offseason, I got a chance to jump on with my buddy John Karalis over at Locked On Boston Sports Journal, and just kind of like digesting the year. We're talking a lot about Peyton Pritchard, and it just jumped to mind as I was kind of figuring how do we wrap up a weird summer, summer of change. How do we put a bow on everything that we witnessed this year? And I wanted to tie in our series. If you've popped over to NBC Sports Boston the last few weeks, you've seen we're doing our 20-part series, asking a panel of our behind-the-scenes experts how, just the big pressing questions about the 25-26 season that is about to arrive. This week we're doing What's Next series, which is sort of taking every player, like what do we need to see from Jaylen Brown, and what do we want to see from Peyton Pritchard, Derek White, Joe Mazzulla, and just kind of breaking down what comes next for some of the major players and coaches and executives in the Celtics organization. But I want to get Krause's take on a few things. Plucked a few of my favorite of the Ramp to Camp series to throw at him, and no surprise, he zigged on me and zagged on me in instances, and we had some good discussion. More Jordan Walsh talk than I probably thought we would have. But a good way to wrap up the summer. Like I said, it's going to be nice to see these guys back on a basketball court before the month's end. A chance to see, when I talked to Jordan Walsh last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, he was talking about how competitive the head-to-head matchups are, all these young guys trying to kind of carve out their space and carve out roles. And finally, we're going to get to see who emerges and who starts to win some of those training camp battles. And just really intrigued, as you'll hear me talk with Karalis about. I'm just really kind of excited to see where this goes. And it's time to start thinking about basketball again. Start thinking about where this season will go and the expectations and whether this team will exceed them on the basketball court. So let's get right into it. Here's my chat with John. All right, Karalis, we were talking earlier today, and I said I'm going to send you a couple topics to get your mind rolling, and you're like, dude, if there's a topic that hasn't been discussed ad nauseum this summer that you can surprise me with, I would be stunned. And I started looking at my list, and I was like, yeah, there's nothing on here that's gonna surprise him. But I do want to start with this. Okay, so I think we talked in early June on your pod. We did a lot of Peyton Pritchard talk, but obviously we were coming out of the end of last season. Not a whole lot has happened since then, although a lot has happened since then, or at least we've talked a lot about what's happened since then. How are we going to remember the summer of 2025 as we prepare to say goodbye? Will it be the summer of new ownership? Will it be the summer of second apron devouring a championship roster? Will it be the the Jayson Tatum rehab tour? What are we going to look back in 5 years and talk about?
It is the summer of change. I think we'll remember this as the big transition summer because of all that stuff, right? Obviously, there's a new owner, which was weird. That was all weird. I think one of the things that is a hallmark of the summer is just how weird everything has been. And I think kind of like by necessity, no one knew what the second apron stuff would be. And then you hear Brad talk about it and he's like, no, these penalties were real, buddy. And, the ownership stuff was, you're talking about $6 to $7 billion valuation for a team. And, I've been a little critical about how long it's taken and all the people that are involved, and I still don't know how many people are going to be involved in the final ownership group, but it's $7 billion, and so few people have oh yeah, $7 billion, let me just pull out my wallet and just, fork that over.
You didn't get in on this, Karalis?
I tried to, but they wouldn't take my 300-year payment plan, and so, I'm out. It's politics. You know how it goes.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
So yeah, it's a period of transition. and the Tatum injury just kind of like is this the the secret sauce though, or the
Mm.
it stirs the pot, whatever, however you want to put it. But like so much has changed, and I think it was exacerbated by that injury. So I'll remember this summer as so much changing, and like it's kind of like that storm front that passes through, and this is very like wind and hail and branches falling, and now we're on the other side of it and trying to kind of pick up the pieces and kind of figure out how we live in this new world of second apron. And are we going with 2 stars in depth, 1 star in depth?
Mm.
Is how is this salary cap really going to manifest over time, and what is this ownership group really going to be, and whose voices are really going to cut through? Like there's so much to figure out moving forward.
So answer all your own questions. No, like I guess
Yeah, sure, no problem.
the big question that and the one that I think you probably hear as much as me. It starts with what's going on with Tatum. When's he going to be back on the court? We'll get to that. But the other one is all people are just like, what's this year going to be like? And I think obviously there's tempered expectations based on the new look roster and the reality of not having a superstar like Tatum. But how quickly do you think you get to the other side? Like I try to tell people one. Like, let's just see where this goes this year. Like, I understand that the margin for error is razor thin. I'm not gonna sit here and try and sugarcoat you and tell you like that the roster didn't experience an obvious talent drain. I hate putting it that way, but it's like it's the reality. But like I also think they could be way more fun than people think, and I don't think it's gonna take quite as long as people maybe think from the outside to crank it back up if everything breaks right, and that's probably not the right phrase to use with this team.
Yeah. Well, there's always the best case scenario, worst case scenario discussion, and the best case scenario for Boston is still really good. Like they're maybe not, Cleveland, and we'll throw New York in there, and obviously like Denver, Houston, OKC, like that group.
We're not worried about the West,
right? But like
we're worried about the terrible, terrible East.
But what I'm saying, like, if everything goes right, and it never ever does, but theoretically in the middle of September, the theoretical stuff is all out there. You have a possibility of, hey, Jalen really takes to this number one role and handles it well, and Derek White plays extraordinary basketball, and he's just good, and it's not just a byproduct of Jayson Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis, and Pritchard is, takes a step forward, and Anthony Simons sticks around and is, a really dynamic player who actually finds a little bit of a defensive acumen, and that all of that stuff could happen. In the Celtics, I look at them as a middle of the road team heading into this season, but I just did a podcast on could they be a 45-win team, and yeah, they could be a 45-win team. Could they be better than that in a best case scenario? Sure, they could be better than that. But it so rarely goes that well that I'm not putting that kind of expectation on the season. I think for fans, this is going to be like, I think a nice kind of refreshing, it doesn't matter season.
Right.
And anything that they do well and anything that goes right, just celebrate it. And when it goes wrong, just be like, it's okay if it goes wrong, because we're trying to figure this out. This is an evaluation year. What can Jalen be in this situation? Can he be like an unquestioned number one? What does that do? What are the ripple effects of that? Can these other guys, how do they handle these situations? So we're trying to figure out all that stuff. So when Tatum does come back this year or next, we've got like, okay, Luka Garza is capable of this. We want to bring it. Josh Minot is capable of this. Anthony Simons is capable of the, however all these guys, pan out. Like you just want to figure that out. So Brad, starting on, December 15th, trade deadline, July 1st or June, whatever, can start making the decisions of keep this guy, move that guy, and start to put other pieces around a team that you hopefully are extending a championship window.
Yeah. And like I said, I think you put it well, is I've told people it's been so long since we haven't had ridiculous expectations for this team that we just need to embrace it. And, like, it's okay to be surprised, if good or bad. Like, look, I'll be the first one if it goes bad. I'll sit here and say, okay, where are the positives that we're plucking? But I also think there's a real opportunity for it to go a lot better than people probably envision from the outside. And I think there's still way more talent than people give this team credit for. And we'll see. Like you said, it's so much. It's a fact-finding mission to determine like what are the ceilings for these guys? What can these guys do? And so that takes us right to my first of 5 questions for you that I plucked from our Ramp to Camp series, where we spend 20 days trying to break down the pressing topics of the new season. And unlike last year, where it was all about like where should the duck boat parade route go and all that, the questions are a little bit tougher this year. But you mentioned a couple of newcomers there. Which newcomer to this Celtics roster are you most excited for?
Well, now that Anthony Simons is sticking around, I'm gonna go with him.
All it took was one Celtics Instagram photo and like I feel like the groundswell of, oh yeah, this guy's like here.
Well, I think we're finally saying like, okay, we can just accept it, right?
Yeah.
Because when they traded for him, I immediately dismissed it. I'm like, well, he's not going to be here.
Right.
So I'm not even going to put any thought into this. Like, I don't care how he fits because it doesn't matter. He's gone. And now here we are, and a couple of weeks away from less than that media day, and you're like, oh, he's still here, and it doesn't look like he's going to get moved, at least not at the start of the season. I mean, honestly, Chris, if this was just going to be a financial thing, Brad could have found a way to bring in less money and a passable player, So I don't think trading him is just about money. I think they want value for him in return. So I think
you only have so many assets you can move now.
Yeah.
Right.
So this isn't just he makes 20 whatever million and they need to get down to 16 million. So how can we swing a deal for Kevin Huerter and get him in there so you still have no, this is not that. It's obvious now that they see him as some level of an asset. And the worst case scenario is that he moves and you get the cap space, but they see him as an asset and a guy that you can, if he builds up his value, it can only go up from here, I think. If he's a defensive, if he finds something on the defensive end, then you go, oh, okay, well, that was just a Portland thing. Mm-hmm. That was just a guy that cut his teeth with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum in the backcourt. And it's like, why would I have to play defense? These guys are getting supermax contracts, not playing. They're like two of the worst defenders in the league. So why am I going to come here and play defense? I'm just going to be, scorers like they are. And so if he comes to Boston and Joe Mazzulla gets into his head and the defensive-minded Celtics get into his head and he finds something there and puts in that level of effort, now you've increased his trade value. Or you maybe have even increased his value to this team, right. And there's a different decision to be made in July. So I'm kind of really curious now as to where does this go? If he increases his value, what do the Celtics get back in a trade if they trade him? And like whether they trade him starts to seep into the conversation if he's playing really, really well, because now if he's playing great, you start to say, well, what if you go a different direction with who you trade? Or maybe you don't trade somebody, you just roll with this. You're under the second apron anyway. Maybe you just try to re-sign him and this is your next 2-3 year window, and that's your perimeter. So Simons is the guy now that I know that he's here and going to play. I think there are so many different roads that we can go down with him. Mm-hmm. So I really, really want to see how this pans out with him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think the talent is undeniable. I think we all know like the shortcomings, and we knew that from day one. And that's part of the reason I think we all thought that maybe they wasn't long for Boston. But it always came down to the financials. And I think there's just been no reason. I think as the further away we got from the initial trade, we realized it's like, there's no reason to rush, right? Like you want to maximize that asset. You want to see what you have, and then you can always move them if it's not a long-term relationship here. And so we'll see where it goes. I will say my answer to this question was Josh Minott. Anyone who has the nickname the lawnmower is going to win my heart quickly, and I think he's going to embody how different this team will play.
Yeah,
with energy and playing hard, and we're going to see that from a lot of guys, but. I'm intrigued to see someone on this roster, has to like kind of break through. And
Yeah.
I'll ask you that in a second. But like, why not just the sort of for what they need because of their lack of size and like some of that versatility that he could bring in the front court and the way he'll play. I think he could be really good for this team. And one of the stories I remember I was thinking about writing over the offseason was like, it's stupid. Because you can never say it, but like you're always looking for the next Derek White, right? Like, and
Mhm.
Josh Minot is obviously not at the level that Derek White was at, but the idea is you're looking for someone who outkicks their perceived value
Yeah.
so high and becomes a cornerstone of what you're building. And of all the guys that are coming in, that to me is probably the most likely to be him, if only because good value contract, all that. You get it kind of
Mhm.
taking a flyer here. It does transition to the next question. It's like, which young player is most likely to make the leap? And do you have a, I tried it at first. I was going to tell people like, you can only pick the under 25 guys. And then you look at like Garza, Keita, they're all 26. I think Anthony Simons is 26.
Yeah.
So like if I just give you the whole platter to choose from, which guy is going to take that step that, maybe and make the leap and become a cornerstone of this team?
So I'm gonna say Baylor Shireman
Ooh.
because first of all, he's still under 25. I just looked it up for recording this on the
I was going to say until
17th
tomorrow or something.
until like he's got 9 more days, September 26th.
Okay. All
So
right.
happy almost 25th birthday, Baylor Shireman. I'm gonna pick him because first of all, you're talking about making a leap. You have to have like
A baseline.
start from somewhere and make what's that big step forward. So he was mostly G League, got a little bit of run. We saw his like big shooting nights, and I think he's going to have an opportunity to actually become a part of the rotation of like a eighth, ninth guy that can come in and he's got size. He's obviously got passing ability. He needs to be more consistent with that shot. If he can get all that down and be a part of a decent defense, then I think he has an opportunity to really make a jump in the second year. There are other guys like Nemish Keita is a candidate for this, and is like I these guys aren't really that young, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, which young guy is going to make a leap?
How many years is Simons? Like Simons is like 6 years in the league now or something, like 5 years. Like and you
Yeah,
sit there because he comes in at 19, so now he's 26, and you're like, wait, he's already got
that's
7
right.
seasons or
Keita's
whatever.
26.
Yeah.
So like, it's when I think of young guys, I'm like, okay, what are the recent draft picks and who's going to get the opportunity? I'm most looking forward to what Hugo Gonzalez is going to be. I
Yeah.
think
Is
that
he gonna play?
actually, I don't think he's going to play this year. I don't think he should play this year. Okay, my sorry about that. My plan for Ugo, which we know that all the Celtics are going to follow my plan for Hugo Gonzalez. I think you go to the G League, you have your list of things, you go, you work on it, you kind of get the baseline. Then you go to Boston,
Mm-hmm.
you get like some run here and there, maybe in a back to back or a third game in 4 nights. You apply it, you fail, you take that film, you go back to the G League, you work on it, come to Boston, get your garbage time, whatever. You fail or succeed, and then you start to build up. So I think we'll see him some, but I don't think he's in the right space yet. I want to give him some of the tools, the baseline stuff, and then maybe like next year, get him, up to speed, get him the terminology, get him used to everything, get him the lay of the land, and then let's see if he can work his way in. But Shireman, I think, is the right kind of guy. Like he's got like the size and all that other stuff to get the opportunity, to make the most of the opportunity. I think he's got the confidence. I think he has some trust. I like the chances of Shireman becoming a part of that bench rotation.
I'm with you, and I love the Rondo-esque passing and some of the stuff we saw at the end of last season. You could absolutely convince me that he is set up well with the way they brought him along last season. to kind of turn him loose a little bit more. And, like you said, they treaded cautiously in instances and then kind of let him find his way, and certainly made the most of his minutes late in the year. Uh, where are you on Walsh? Are you like, do you think Jordan Wall, are you like, are you out based on what you've seen? Are you just like, do you think he's really got to show something? Because he was
Not,
knocking on that door in training camp last year.
yeah, I'm not out.
Okay.
I'm not out. As I put it over the summer after summer league, I'm not out, but I'm starting to like, that point at the party where you're like, you check your watch, you're like looking around, you're seeing if somebody else has made the move to go for the door. Um, I just think Jordan has like, this was his third summer league. And I think by your third summer league, you got to be better than what he was. So I don't like that. But I'm not out because I think sometimes he just needs like these reminders of like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm not doing it. I think some of this is just in his head, and like getting kicked out of that summer league game, I was not a fan of that.
Oh, see, I was.
I didn't like it. You know why I didn't like it, Chris? Because he forgot that he had the first tech. That's
Yeah.
why. He forgot that he had the first tech.
But like, are you thinking about that in summer league? It's more like I just want to fight this guy.
But you're supposed to. You're supposed to.
Yeah.
This is not like, to me, as an evaluator, I'm looking at that and I'm going like, you lost your head. And like, I appreciate the fire, but you lost your head in a moment. Like, I want to see like, if you're losing your head and you're not aware, like you just got a tech. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I think that if he comes out and has a great year and finds a way to stick around, I wouldn't be like shocked by it. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh my God, I'm not saying he shouldn't get an opportunity. I just think that
I get where you're at. Yeah, year 3 you're supposed to be dominating. The 2 outs I give him, 22, second youngest guy on that roster. Like that doesn't absolve everything. The other thing is like I kind of like that he played with fire that game. Like I think one of the things he needs to learn is that's how hard he's got to play every single night when he's out there. Like he's got to play smarter 100%, but he's got to play with like that edge, that sort of like I forget what the what they call it, violent defense that he was built coming out of Arkansas. There's a balance to that, and I'm absolutely with you on that. He's probably got to be smarter in that. And if you're Brad Stevens, is part of the reason you're probably like, didn't love that. But when you're Joe Mazzulla, you're like, yeah, that's cool. Let's fight somebody. And
I'll quickly throw this out there. I can see him being a defensive version of like Aaron Nesmith, with Boston. Like just crazy guy off the bench. The Celtics are going to need to force turnovers this year. Like this is the year the Celtics are going to have to force turnovers in order to score. So I think there's a world where if Jordan can kind of harness that lightning and come out and be crazy defensive energy off the bench, I can even see him being part of a closing lineup where the Celtics are up 10.
We just went from we had him cut, and
I know, but I'm saying like if he can be that guy, if he can harness it and find something there, that's what I'm saying. I'm not out.
Yep.
But so there is a possibility there. If you're looking for your best defensive lineup on this team, on this particular team, it's tough to throw a good defensive lineup out there. You're up 10 with 2.5 minutes to go. You're coming out of that TV timeout. Jordan Walsh defending on that perimeter might not be a bad idea with Jaylen Brown. You got Kata in the back there. You got Derek White. You have options out there. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised by anything with Jordan. Like maybe he just gets cut, or maybe he becomes a situational kind of energy defensive guy. I'd love to see him become a situational energy defensive guy because he's a good kid, and I don't actively root for anybody to fail. I'm not sure, and he definitely
of course not. No one's going to hold you to it if he goes either which way. But I'm with you. He's got to show it more than we've seen it to this point. You did start mentioning it there at the end. What's your starting 5 on opening night?
I'm to set my lineups for like the substitution pattern. I'm going to go Derek White, Anthony Simons, Jaylen Brown, Boucher, and Kata. because I like the double big. I like the rim protection there. Boucher can hit some shots, so he's not, we know what he is. He's sort of stretched big-ish. But I like Simons in the starting lineup because he takes pressure off of Jaylen Brown. You can't double anybody in the perimeter, and he can catch and shoot. You got catch and shoot options on the perimeter with Keita as the roll man. And I really like it because Pritchard, I think, not that he hasn't earned a starting spot. And if he starts on opening night, totally cool, legitimate starting lineup there with him in the, as a starter. I'm not arguing against him being a starter. What I'm arguing for is he comes in for Derek White. White comes in for Jaylen Brown, and you're staggering those guys. It's just more of how the substitution pattern works. And I just like Pritchard coming off the bench, a role that he's familiar with. He's going to get plenty of touches and all that stuff. But I'm not saying that Pritchard in the starting lineup isn't a good option either.
And you just exiled Hauser to the bench.
Well, I mean, okay,
somebody's got to go there, right?
Somebody's got to score points off the bench.
Fair.
So, and we could easily, if you want to say Pritchard comes in or Hauser comes, like we can easily say any of that. If you want to go Pritchard, White, Hauser, Jaylen, and Keita, totally fine with me too.
Just nail my lineup. So I'm glad you went there. I like Pritchard. I think he's going to play all 48 minutes. That's going to mask all your deficiencies. He wants to do it. And I think just Hauser for me, I think I get your kind of like, now that I roll it around, there is some idea of like, okay, maybe Hauser's your new 6-man, gets a ton of minutes, scores a bunch of points. I just think he needs his shooting, and we'll see if they can get away with it rebound wise. Like that's putting a lot of pressure on Keita, or Peyton Pritchard might lead the team in rebounding. I don't know. One more before we get you out of here, because you got your own podcast to do. What's the return date on Jayson Tatum?
I think that he can be back by March, like early March. Yeah, I think that the quickness of the surgery, because we've heard over and over again that the getting that surgery done quickly is important. That speed bridge surgery is an innovative thing. We haven't seen that much before in basketball players.
NFL a lot.
Yes, and guys come back quicker.
6 months in the NFL. Cam Akers, I believe it was.
So that's super encouraging. Now it's a little bit different in basketball, but
yeah.
Hey, so you've got a guy in his complete physical prime getting surgery almost immediately from one of the best, from the guy, and this innovative technique. I think I think March is like 8 months, February, like
9
late
months
February.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see him post All-Star break starting to like ramp up, and I think that would be great.
Yep.
And this is not, every time I bring this up, people say, don't rush him. Don't rush him. I'm not rushing it. Yeah. Don't rush him. This is not rushing. This is, I think when I say early March, I mean early March, where every trainer, every doctor, the Pope, everybody comes in and is like, nope, this is good, man. We're covering all of our bases. And they all come in and be like, nope, no, he's ready to go. And so if he's ready to go by March 1st, I would love to see him out there. Part of it's like a rehab stint to me.
Yep.
Come out, slowly ramp up, shake off the rust. And we're trying to figure out if Simons and Garza and Minot can play next to this guy. Why not take the opportunity over? We're not playing him 48 minutes. Just slow 5-minute stints, whatever it is, whatever he's ready. Slow work, but get him into some pick and rolls with Luka Garza. Let's get him some opportunities with these guys. Let's get him some reps with these guys so you can actually get good information. So I love it. And like, I don't expect him. I'm not sitting there saying, oh, the Celtics could make the playoffs and this is going to be a crazy run. No. Get him back, get him some minutes, shake off the rust, shake off some of that, get his mind right, because that's going to be a huge, huge hurdle.
Yep.
Get him past some of those mental hurdles, get some good data with some of these guys, and now you can start next season ahead of where you thought you would be. So I'm very pro if he's fully ready.
Right. And that has to be the hunt. That has to be the thing. That's the thing we can't predict from the outside. every single doctor on the planet Earth has to give it the okay, and I'm with
Yes.
you. So actually surprised because that section of our ramp to camp doesn't debut till next week, but I picked the same date. I like early March, right around his birthday. I think we're going to start to hear rumblings. Like, and that's no information. That's just the
Right.
timeline. Like, I think that's the point where we're going to start. He's going to have had a lot of time. He's going to be doing a lot of activity, and he's going to be just damn near. They're going to have to hold him down from wanting
Yeah.
to be on the court.
You think if he's ready and fully cleared that the team's going to be able to say no, you're not playing?
No chance. He'll
Are you
run out there
kidding
on his
me?
own.
No,
All right.
he will go out there and join like the big. He'll go sign with the freaking Fibonacci or whatever the team is. Like, he'll go. He'll do something. He'll post him playing 5-on-5. He is if he is ready and cleared, he will play, and the team kind of will just have to say, "Yeah, you're playing."
Well, Karalis, I didn't think we could get a half an hour out of the summer. I thought we needed to wait till next week when things start to bubble up a little bit more. But look at us. You, as always, have carried me through another episode. Enjoy what's left of your off season. I will talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
I have a rule. I try not to go too long on the summer podcast. Like, again, people's brains are everywhere. Football season, and we got to wait till there's some action on the court before I'll give you a super long podcast or make you listen to that. And but I wanted to debate. If I had a few extra minutes there, I would have pushed Karalis on some of those answers. But as always, I love his energy, and he made some good points out there. I'm eager to see what the starting five looks like. I'm eager to see who the young guys that win roles are. I'm eager to see how they tread with a guy like Ugo in his first year in green, especially given his young age. I'm just excited to get this thing going. It's time to start thinking about basketball again. It's time to start seeing what the next generation of the Celtics contender is going to look like, and who's ready to step up and take that baton. And I don't know. I'm telling you, I can't shake this feeling that Peyton Pritchard and Derek White and even Jaylen Brown stepping into that 1A role are all going to be pretty excited and ambitious to get out there and show what they can do, show that we've only, maybe seen with such a loaded roster, a little snippet of what they can do. And I think there's a good chance that they're going to give the Celtics their own chance to outkick expectations. And we'll be here on the Celtics Talk Podcast to document it all. Like I said, we'll be back next week. Might not be the summer, but it'll be a chance to even start thinking about more basketball. So go subscribe, go check us out on the YouTube page, go check out Karalis' work on Locked On and DSJ. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk Podcast.